Hi, hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Chronic Goes Carnivore. I decided that since I am doing research and posting it online that I was going to have some fun with it. So, here we go. Today we are going to be talking about protein, what it is, what it does, why it's important, and kind of how it's playing a part in why I chose to go carnivore. As usual, I do have my notes, so pardon the rustling noises. So to start out with, I just want to put the disclaimer out there that I am not a medical professional. I am just a regular human being doing some research into the way that I am choosing to eat. And being a very curious person, I am just going to continue until I'm satisfied. So let's talk about protein. So what is protein? So protein is a ribbon molecule that is made up of amino acids. Now, there are 20 different amino acids that your body needs to function. 11 of which your body can and will make, and 9 of which we need to consume from our food. And depending on the shape of said ribbon molecule will determine what that protein is going to do for your body. So depending on which aminos are linked to each other and that will change the pattern to do different functions in your body, which is why it's so important to get all 20 of them as often as you can. So, how does your body know how to use protein? So basically, your DNA is the blueprint on how your body breaks down what you're intaking and then figuring out what it needs, how it needs, and then it recreates the protein molecule in your cells from what you're consuming. So the kinds of things that that protein does in the body, it does, a million and one things in your body. It impacts your hormones, insulin, antibodies, enzymes. It can be used to help move things in and out of the cell. For example, when insulin pushes glucose into the cell, protein is the thing that helps figure out where that needs to go and gets it in the right spot. So overall, it's kind of a big deal to focus on in our diet. So that being said, it's pretty obvious as to why every single person needs protein. Now, how much protein do we need to consume? And I went down a very frustrated kind of day of digging for this, and the answer is nobody can tell you. And I cannot tell you how frustrating that actually is for me. But they can't tell you because it depends on how big you are and your genetic makeup and all of these other factors that are unique to the individual. So, and I forget the scientific breakdown because there is a specific calculation for it. But basically, you need to eat half of your body weight worth of protein in grams. So for me, as someone who is currently 283 pounds, I need to be eating like 140-ish grams of carbs a day. Carbs a day. My body wishes it was carbs a day. I need to eat 140 grams of protein a day to really get my body what it needs. So your body makes 11 of the 20 enzymes. So you're already more than halfway there. So you really need to intake those last 9, which have been historically kind of labeled totally forgot what they're labeled. They're historically labeled like essential amino acids. There we go. Which means that we have to either get super creative with what we're eating, or you need to eat animal products. So why do I say that? So no matter how you eat, it is possible to get all 9 in your diet. However, if you're eating animal protein, it's a whole lot easier. Animal protein is considered a complete protein, which means that the animal meat and their products have all 9 essential amino acids in them. So you don't have to get creative. You just need to throw it on the grill, on a pan, in the air fryer, whatever mode that you prefer. Boom, done. If you're eating more vegetarian or vegan, you're gonna have to get a little creative because the foods that you have access to are partial proteins. So they have a handful of the 9, but they're not all of the 9 in one thing. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to research into what kind of food you are eating and making sure that you are combining the right things at the right time in one meal to get all 9. So it's going to be a little bit harder. You're going to have to be creative, but it is possible to do a keto diet while being vegetarian. In fact, I was just talking to a good friend of mine about it because she eats vegetarian, and I am, I've gone off the deep end with all this research, and she wanted to know a little bit about what I was learning, so I monologued at her for a good hour on what I'm learning, specifically towards how her diet is. Now, there is some debate whether or not you should eat plants at all, and that's neither here nor there. But what is pretty consistent is the fact that meat seems to be a lot more easily digestible and better available on a biological standpoint to your body. Again, take it or leave it. That is entirely up to you and how you want to live in this world. So how did this impact my choice to go carnivore? The answer is it didn't. I am 40 days into this carnivore challenge, and I am just now starting to learn all of these things. I went carnivore for the inflammation, for the mental health, for, a lessening of my POTS symptoms, didn't know it then, but pleasant side effect is that my cerebral palsy is getting less spastic. So I really went carnivore for a different reason. And the more I'm learning, the more I'm realizing why this extreme elimination diet is working. Now, carnivore is a subset of keto. Keto being keeping your carbs to 50 to 20 grams a day, depending on how strict you want to be. Carnivore is a subset that basically says, I will take your 50 grams and drop it as low as possible. Going back to my keto video, is determined by your genetic makeup, how your genes are expressed, and how many carbs your body can handle before it will kick you out of ketosis. For me, that threshold is about 15 to 20 grams. So I will always be on the lower end of keto. There is a small overlap between carnivore and keto called ketovore, which is you eat some vegetables, but you're keeping your carbs under 15 grams a day, which is what I strive to do. Now, the thing that I'm struggling with is the fact that there's really no studies on carnivore specifically. It's all anecdotal. It's all, word of mouth, surveys people are doing voluntarily, whatnot. Makes me a little angry. And then, so I've basically just decided to do a N of 1 study on myself to see what I'm noticing, how I'm feeling, if I can get off some of my medication that I'm taking for some of my mental health stuff, for some of my physical health stuff. And now that I kind of have a grasp, very minute grasp, mind you, on what protein is, what ketosis is, I'm going to start adjusting what I'm doing accordingly. Which means I'm really going to start focusing on my protein intake, on if I can, the quality of my protein. We'll see how that looks on the budget. And just, I'm going to enjoy this journey. And I hope that you guys come along with me and at least find it entertaining, if not educational. Let me know down below what you think I should dive into next. Is there something that I'm missing? Is there a counter argument you want me to look at? Let me know. And do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and that thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.